민족이 그 남과산이 그 대부분 산지에 고마서 시행하겠다. 탐남 탐남 차단 이난에 장주쌤 공야 탐남 아니다 타제슈당 그 다시
Good. Can you turn your slot up a bit and move down?
타제슈 그 다시
Oh, okay. This is way too loud. I'm going to put it over here. I'll put it over here, maybe that'll be alright. Can you hear? How's that? That's still pretty loud. Well, okay, that'll have to do.
Is like that okay?
I don't know. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still real loud. I'll put it maybe here.
They're saying that's fine, they can hear. Yeah, it's much better.
Okay, is that good? Yeah. Alright. Yeah, I got most of it, but okay. Alright.
지금 남과게 다 산지에 터베하게 고마 산지에 되면 탐남 아니 장주쌤 고고요다 장주쌤 보면 탐남 타제시 아니 그 다시 예나네 믹스하게 이 다시 냠주 공주지 림바데다 근데 준주나 시기어에서 봐.
Okay, so when we talk about this Buddhist path or this Buddhist methods, right? Then within the Mahayana scope, we have to cultivate this attitude of bodhicitta, right? And so therefore, when we look at this, there's one method that excels, or one technique that's taught in this Bodhisattva Charyavatara, which is this equalizing and exchanging self for others.
준주나라 다시 냠주 장주쌤 공야지 당부 시자라고 보면데 경쟁 상담에 먼저 당부 실행 발시고서나 말아서 샘제 탐제 미탐제 먼저 냠바레스 먼저 찍과의 경쟁 이 리버데 하고 싶어도 알아 그 먼저 뒤에 말아서 처음으로 나가 주식해요 먼저 미스터보다가 또 상마도 찍과래 먼저 메인 봐 찍과래 먼저 대화되고 찍과래 동행이 되고 찍과래 대주지 동행다 내주지 동행 찍과래 제상에 동행 세우고 먼저 30 채우고 이 경쟁대 찍과의 경쟁이 또시 그것도 와다 냠바 두비야
So when we look at this method in the Bodhisattva Charyavatara of equalize and exchange for others, then the reasoning or the logic behind it is the basis for establishing all the stages, right? So the first thing we need to recognize, which is the basis for this equalizing and exchanging self for others, is that we are all the same, right? So when we meet people and we engage with people, we should see everyone as equal, as the same, right? And in the same in that all beings, all people want happiness and do not want suffering. So therefore, when we think about eradicating suffering, just as we want to eradicate our own suffering, because others are the same and suffering equally, then we need to eradicate all suffering of all beings.
거리 친구인 거는 김센담한테 상무보다 여러 수술 팬도 가득하게 이거는 팬과 토이면 미세 남고산죠 제가마지 켈레미다 심지 탐제 수술 아마치녀요 바와치녀요 기계치녀요 부구치녀요 초부치녀요 수술의 팬쇼 토녀요 대상다는데 라운딩된 시제 아니 전주생 공야다 인주 공야다 또 디니니 개발돼
So conversely, when we look at the other renowned method of the 7-point mind training. This is based on thinking about oneself, right? And how all beings are incredibly kind to oneself. And then again, there's a logical basis, many reasonings for that. So when you think about reincarnation, past lives, then we see that all beings have been our mothers, have been our fathers, have been our teachers. So based on the kindness they've shown us, then this is the basis for this reasoning that we need to repay that kindness. So this is how the 10-point mind training method works.
successful child 타도게 산지 고마타야지 신진진의 되는 총회에서 비기진 란진지기 교환당 신진지 윤대 망고시에서 그래서 뭐가
So in the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, when it talks about this technique of equalizing exchange for others, one of the things it looks like is the various faults of the self-cherishing attitude. So how all stress, anxiety, fear, problems, all can be boiled down to this attitude of self-cherishing. Whereas all happiness, success, peace, and all conventional success, all the way, and ultimate spiritual success, all the way up to full enlightenment, comes from this attitude of cherishing others. So through this analysis, we see the faults of self-cherishing and the incredible benefits of cherishing others.
ranchi cheba zimbadi machines do name danwa machines do name dan ram shows occasion with the digi dungi yong dungi junggu dungi 강에 타만디고 마지고 상모 드네 용고요 다디바 시제 아니 신라 상모당 신의 디도를 상모당 란에 신하고 제베이나 란티와 초보망고 로다 스트레스 뉴르도레 강에 가래네 초보망고에나 레라오토네 세로 제단디 내가 강에 들어 다도다 아니 신시의 진전은 닝제당도 딜기그래 닝제게나 찬주심지를 찬주심제나 아니 뭐 겐겐도 제가 가래 연애 뭐 생기디기라 디게페야 그러고 여러 제리 디인자다 다신년제 디 공야 자와디 다나 디 슝제레 스트링어도 슝제다 디 인지민지게 론지당고레스 디 단다시오 제고레스
Tikare dita takna. Oh, okay, all right. Okay, so when we look at this practice put down the Bodhisattva Charyavatara of this equalizing and exchanging self for others. So the first thing we need to do is understand the faults of the self-cherishing. So at the moment we hold this I as being very important and others as being unimportant. Like when we put others aside and put ourselves as being incredibly important, right? And this causes a lot of stress, anxiety, and so forth. So if we conversely can put away this self-cherishing attitude and develop this attitude of cherishing others, then there's incredible temporary benefit, like all our stress, anxiety, all of that will disappear, right? And then ultimately, like this, as we remove this attitude of self-cherishing, then we can develop compassion, loving kindness, compassion, and then great compassion, and then bodhicitta, and then all the way up to full enlightenment. So all this temporary kind of happiness and ultimate happiness is dependent on this attitude of cherishing others. So this shows that this cherishing others leads to all temporal and ultimate peace and happiness. So we've got a verse for you guys to memorize.
식세우다 신앙 다시 동어차 그거 식세우다.
Okay, so it's verse 136. Oh, I'm in the wrong chapter. Oh, no, I'm not.
쉽게 쭉 찍듯.
Yeah. So therefore, in order to allay the harms inflicted upon me, and in order to pacify the suffering of others, I shall give myself up to others and cherish them as I do myself. Right? So this is trying to kind of reverse the self-cherishing energy we have, where we hold ourselves as supreme and others as not important. This reverses that we hold as important as we now hold ourselves. That's how we need to kind of come to see others or relate to others. So, yeah, is this verse is clear, the meaning, and all good?
되게 전주게 다시 연주 분들이 틱 되리다.
So this is like the essence of this exchange itself for others, this verse.
하드네 되네. 다는 신기 온주지 이주기 월시제 봤어. 심제군도 나도 봐. 아니 주기 시험에서 다들 책도 세우시라도 다 드림에 세워지기. 아베 심제 신 탐지기 배디 콘솔라 단다지 얘기. 레머시지 내 자와 가르쳐야지. 심지 신의 평범 방식 제하려면 제우라스다 드리네 중에 심지 신의 평범 방식이 그 란데 삼바드 나시 신의 방식 상고스다 다 란데 방식 상기요 말이야 신의 방식 상
Okay, no. So this is verse 137, right, which says, I am under the control of others. Of this mind you must be certain. Now, except for benefiting every creature, you must not think of anything else. So yeah, this verse is very clear. So from today, from now on, whatever difficulties or problems, or basically whatever it takes, you're striving to benefit others. So instead of being worried about your own welfare, you become entirely concerned with benefiting others, with striving to help others. And so you forgo this concern for yourself and focus entirely on benefiting others.
나도 이 직제니 잘 숨지는 거
Okay, so we can read these two verses, 136 and 137, 3 times together. Lay the harms inflicted upon me, in order to pacify the suffering of others. I shall give myself up to others and cherish them as I do my very self. I am under the control of others. Of this mind you must be certain. Now, except for benefiting every creature, you must not think of anything else. Therefore, in order to allay the harms inflicted upon me, in order to pacify the suffering of others, I shall give myself up to others and cherish them as I do my very self. I am under the control of others. Of this mind you must be certain. Now, except for benefiting every creature, you must not think of anything else. Therefore, in order to allay the harms inflicted upon me, and in order to pacify the suffering of others, I shall give myself up to others and cherish them as I do my very self. I am under the control of others. Of this mind you must be certain. Now, except for benefiting every creature, you must not think of anything else.
직제 당고디 단다디 지난다 신중인데 신은 아니 다만 신제고 숨이 서로 직제 당고디
Okay.
어디에서 공대스잖아요. 심지 신도 수순한 신의 제고 숨이 하디 상당고요.
Okay. So this first verse 136 is about first equalizing, then exchanging oneself for others. So we're going to meditate on this a bit of how to exchange the self for others. Right. So first we need to see others as the same as ourselves.
어다 지제 뉴어데 된다 그래서는 땅에 드리네 신경 가식 치기 있다.
Okay, so now the second verse. From today onwards, I will strive for the benefit of others, for the purpose of others.
어다 이제 셈디 가오공스 말아 셈디 데 누가 친구지요? 가오공스.
So now we need to rejoice in this, right? Like this mind, my mind has this power now. So to take joy, to rejoice in that.
다들 이제 셈디 가디위는 해 르당니 가디위는 셈디 탐자 숨진 이야기 삼제 탐자식으로.
So now we need to make like a commitment that you will, like whenever you will maintain or hold this mind strongly, continuously.
아야. 되게 맞아 다시 냠지 공부에 미 견라zel라고요. 당부 책도 좀 책도 찾으면 되지 마대. 아니 책도 전달돼 상담다. 안데라 곰데 곰 탑시 자면도 대화 자면도 열와 또곰 자에 곰자 상무단에 라제데 가로선나다 곰 겹사는 마 미지도 남도 밀라 삼시지 밀라 대지 참바체로 줘야 민지체로 줘야 마디에 총으로 줘야 타도 총으로 줘야 진심 총으로 줘나 다 준주 맞아 로존체가 코치를 그랬어 아니 준주 곰제 코치를 그랬어
Okay.
시마도 곰제 준주 로존체
Yeah.
타도 차로 진심 체로 마디에 체로 줘나 야말았으니
So, having like recited these verses on this, thought about this equalizing exchange yourself others, recited these verses, then meditated on these verses, right? And having done that, then if it's going to be effective, you should notice some change in your behavior, right? Like in the center, people around you in the center, and just in society in general. That you have an increase in your positive qualities, like more kindness, more love, more compassion, and then reducing attitudes such as pride and jealousy and so forth. If you can see some change in your mind and your behavior, then okay, you can say that you've kind of got the meditation. If, however, you kind of recite this verse and then do the meditation, and then you get more pride and more jealousy, then, well, you're probably missing the point a little bit.
내가 그렇지. 근데 다음도 지금 단지. 다음에 이거 제네럴 로고죠 고마스다. 다시 냠제 고모로 다시 냠제 고모도 아니 다 같이 오고 다시 냠제 고모도 다시 오고 제가 라니 심지 시행기 수수 태어나시베 요거나시 상담이야. 아니 수수 류마게 줘버려서 미기다디나래 류그 남주기 아니 지금 밀라 다음에서 막아봤습니다. 다 여러 되게마다 이제 당신 막아봤어. 콘도서 미기데 되다 여러 콘도서 미다 콘도서 남주기야 여러 류그 되게마다 이제 아니 배 지가서 그래. 요즘이 류마게 류 따서 독수도 류다 많이 됐다고 자고.
Okay.
다시 냠지 검사는 류다 많이 있다고 자지. 이게 심지신라 팬도야게 자와주나 제 심지신라 다 뇌제 미다다는 류류 남주는 계저세다는 된저게 아니 밀라 뇌로야 아니 데라 랑제 신반 차로야 등중 계수 차로야 된저도나 다들도 천시에 진제 막 내고랬을 직디 디셰고 제네로 워드죠 와서 디제라 다시 냠지 검에 제라 어디서 상담 오래 신시오라 신원 밀라 서고 이제 란던도 리마니 대변밀라 서고 데라로 참을 제가 그래서 배대 신제가 진짜 신왕나 시차들 아니 란던 두야 시 미다다는 마제시아 루는 비도 되죠 말이야 그래서 지 미다들이 무슨 시에 뭐 참바다 저 미다들이 다야 루는 유는 지금 어디야 여러 아니 많이 계제 오셔야 되면 아니 네 다시 냠지 검사를 질러서 융하게 줘봐도 담고 계정보로 했다디 시고라더니
So this next verse that we're talking about is how to regard ourselves as like the servant of others, right? So this body and the speech, so forth, are always in the service of others. So therefore, the way we interact and the way we look upon others and all of these things is very important. We need to be aware of how our body language and how we look upon others and how our speech is. It should all be focused on the benefit of others. We shouldn't be looking at others with anger or kind of aggressive or jealousy or all of these kind of negative ways of thinking or negative ways of interacting with each other. So we need to become very aware of how our body and speech is and how we're interacting with others. This is the practice that we're engaging after having done this practice of exchange of self for others. So after having done this exchange for self of others, then we need to develop a strong awareness of the way we interact with others. And this verse 137 goes, I am under the control of others. Of this mind you must be certain. Now except for benefiting Oh, sorry, no, 138. For my sake, I shall not do anything. With these eyes and so forth, which I have left at the disposal of others, it is quite incorrect to do anything with them, which is contradictory to the benefit of others. So, since we're under the power of others, or like the purpose of our body is to benefit others, it's for others, then we need to look upon them, with kindness and respect and so forth. So this is an awareness. After we've done this practice of exchanging stuff for others, then we need to develop a strong awareness of how our interactions with others are.
그래서 얘가 고성을 줘서 류지고 마지고 이지고 세고라 제가 류지고네 류지 밀라 라고 쉬어로 이제 미자라 구마자라 다도 류기 줘는거 아니 지 류지 남주자면 네 여러 류지 남주도 자되나 그 류지 보디 랭귀지 미 앞셋 제 여러 비즈 지요 말다 마리 두자가 마리 에 삽삽체 계절 마셔고나 상무단 그게 시에서는 살다. 아니 찍무질 하요 말에 소리 세미. 근데 다 소리라나 어즈래. 다시 소리라로 마셔 배 갈래. 나디 딕데 유서라.
Okay. So, that body, speech, and mind, we need to be very aware of how we interact with others, right? So obviously with our body, we need to not be aggressive or violent, and we need to not steal. But also we need to be aware of our body language, or how our physical interactions with others affect others, and we need to do it in a positive way, right? And also we need to be incredibly aware of our speech and not use harsh speech. And once if we've said something kind of inappropriate or harsh, then, it's said. It's that's been said, and then you kind of basically only have one option left, and and that's to say sorry. And sorry is it's a bit like meh. It's a bit like meh. It's not ideal, but okay, at least you've said that, right? So, sorry is, hopefully we can prevent the need to say sorry in the first place.
강조 심진이 전조부 체제로 왔으니 신기 통과도 조르샤 아니 스스데 그 이제 가래이네 당고 아니 당고 신나봐 딩이 스스 다기 마셔지 세다 거들에요 딩하래 녜도 로리 녜 칼라래 다기 제나 밀로 단도 말와 다그르시기요 말스 다기 제외이나 펜도시도 말고 다들 먼저 참여 님들게 롱제에 상담하는 미션을 대토를 미션 셰치도로 하고 디자 디스고 다디서 디조시고 테나셈진 조시 데서 다르를 지도하는 데는 대단히 초전에 신다라는 편을 줬어. 수수 지금와야 시도 주 미진의 초야서로 되게 맞아야지 파제가 대상의 어떤도 그래서 이건 상황에 대해서 상관된 집에서 그러지. 잘라 지단데 수수 배셔되는 여러. 내한테 띵한저 그래. 락상단 아니 미기. 잘라서 비제체 수수 콘트사가 말와. 아니 단도 가고 당연 잘라디 콘트 비제체에서 배편도 콘트를 펜토서. 수수 콘트사 유파제 수수 생각 가오지.
오케이.
수수 왜나 로 신다 바샤는 심볼로 수수 뒤에 먹더라고 지라. 띵하는 냠뇨대지요. 말아대 최저 믹스에 목 제거라 봐. 미가시가 하마고제 자동도 하디는 드디어 가 상모디 내기도 와. 드디어 보면 자동서. 남사디네야 빌리브로식도 콘들리브로식도. 야오르게 보고 비지체도 야고래서나 남사마 자로. 띵하는 냠뇨요. 말아 이쪽에서 믹스에 퍼스 저거들 토마토들 여러 미사우도 하고 문다. 그래서 비지체제가 뒤뒤에 상문을 따가 들리고 이게 어디 맞아요. 비지체가 야고래. 야고래서나 아스스 이게 퍼 비지체가 되나 아스는 가고요. 단도 스물 가나요. 이게 상문데 맞나 건도 살다. 근데도 라야.
So we need to think like our main reason is to benefit others. So then we need to get rid of this mind of like grasping or covetousness to our possessions, and we should think that all what we have in terms of wealth and possession is to be shared with others. So it says here, verse 139, thus sentient beings should be my main concern. Whatever I behold upon my body, I should rob and use for the benefit of others. Okay. This word rob is like also just means to take forcefully. It's not necessarily stealing in translation, but anyway. So we're not, obviously this verse is not telling us to steal, but rather to give, right? So whatever we have, like clothing and so forth, even if we spend money on it, we shouldn't think of it as like mine, but rather ours and something to share with others, and the purpose of it is to stuff, or we get share our stuff and it makes them happy, then that's what we should be thinking. That's what should benefit us. And Geshe-la's thinking, from his experience, he kind of has like a special cup, right? And like there's some special cup that's set aside for him. And some people, sometimes people don't know, and they might use his cup or drink out of him. And then, from his experience, if he doesn't think about it, then he might get angry, right? It's, he's using my cup. That's terrible, right? But if he actually, uses the logic to think about it, that other people are using this cup, they don't really know, and it's helping them and they're benefiting them, then he actually can be happy and rejoice in it. But if he just kind of watches other people use his cup, then sometimes it can get a little, without thinking about it, he can get a little angry about it. So beware, don't use his cup. So if somebody drives your car, do you get upset?
안 콘도사 유샤지 데 가와지 그러다 배요 이제 배주체스 공부 배주체스로 미카시 이제 너 배주체는 거기도 디 야고요 가즈나 당문에 편바단셔 밀리시는 편야 상물이 요인자 미카시 거기도 계실라 나 못한 데서 계실라 먼저 나라 데서 거기도 디 가즈나 꼭 편바요라 편 미디어를 편도시야 그 상물이 요인자 아니 디 롱제샤지 콘도사 파션 거기요라고
So, so instead of thinking like when other people use that stuff, rather than getting angry and thinking, it's mine only but myself, you should be rejoicing in it because it benefits others. And so, if somebody's using your stuff and it's helping them out, then you should feel happy about that. Geshe says, some people, they feel happy, like when Geshe, uses their car, then they're happy, and Geshe stayed in my house, so they're really happy about it. Why? Because they can see it's benefiting, they can see it's helping. So, but, if you don't think about how it's benefiting others or how it's helping others, then, your natural tendency might be to get angry, so you need to kind of think about this.
가시에 수수라 고야가 시디 세다 거다 된데 통한데 수수 구마지 초고 있는 초고 구마래 말에 초고도 구마지 먹으러 초고라지 영화매어지는 지 포버다 초고라 나고라
like snatch man
stealing 말에 미를 영화매어던데 내야스도 어디래 그나 저랑 그 가와지는 비주치고라 나도 니게 초당에 예 니가 거에다나 저랑 마 비주여는 내 남에다나 디디로 이제 사무딘데 좀 지겨워 말해서 왔다 제기 세다 거다 된데 통이 딩말고 그도 삼제 고페저게 되면은 이 포바 초고세로 된데 이 리트서 마체베체 단도 딜레 파 코돈 수수 요데 파 콘소파 롱님도를 제하고 상담 오버스 당고래서
So this trukpa it's this word that was in the verse. It's not exactly like stealing. It's what's the English? So if somebody doesn't have like So if you have the power to take something, even though it might technically not be stealing, if they're under, they don't have the power, then you just take it off. What's the English word for this? Like when you exploit the situation and just take it. So I guess you said the example of my phone. I might be using it, and he just takes it off me and starts using it, right? Even though I'm using it. I don't know. Snatch, kind of, but.
그러니까 내가 비교 두번 매연이 수수 비교 제나 고마지고 여러 이제 지금 말해서.
So if somebody like wants something and you just take it and start using it, and that disturbs their mind. This is the thing we're talking about. I don't know quite. I think there's an English word, but I cannot for the life of me remember it. But
this experience I was in monastery. Not really teacher some teaching some attachment for stuff, and I made very very nice table, some order in Indian capital. I make design, and then one day usually a teacher not much go to other students' room, And one day in the evening 2:30 something, my teacher he was there, Oh, he said, oh, whose table this? This is my table. I want this. he took me my table, then this is teaching. He's teaching. I attachment to table. One reason, and the other reason later I understood. Other reasons, other students show in the COVID they're making lots of table, and this reason, and if he use and nobody copy him, I use other monk easy to copy they're making. At that time, I don't recognize. And then, but this teacher is too bossy for me. Okay. I bring you, tomorrow. Not today. I take out, and other friend we talking, and teacher give me bargain table. One is already bargain. They lost like that, And he give me this, and I thinking, contemplate. Wow, teacher teach me attachment, less attachment. One reason is, and other student copy. Already said, I want to make. Teacher took this drawing. Nobody said this. Before I use this drawing, most I want to which carpenter made. I want this. Lots of thinking of copy. I want. The teacher took this drawing. Oh, stop. Then I recognized. Wow, he's having this. Then I appreciate his table. I use all the time and never make a new table. I always can use because this is amazing. He give me, stay working this, this one pot working like that, and not really good, just like that, I use all the time. When I come here, I live in Sarah, give me student love song. I don't know he using or he already throw away. Nowadays the young they like new. I think it's similar like that sometimes. 다 돼요. 다 되네만 되게 수급증이 돼. 당한서 예화된 것을 공자 냐면 쉬어야 되겠다. 흉내가시 모든 일이다. 그래서 암저정동 제하고 년셔왔어요.
So these verses now, these pages that we're covering, they're very kind of powerful to meditate and practice on. So you should be listening up, paying attention.
이거 다신전에 삼바제 둘다 다신년제 공부를 하지. 어디가 다신년제 공부에서 공부를 라서 하는데. 다신년제 공사에서 삼바 컨디션 거래에서 라는데 내가 돌tem받아 개워셔. 니시와. 나 돌tem받이 시험이 다 되래. 전주선받이 저기 같이 걸었나. 토와 차도 맛이 냐벌 진심 맛이 마와 튼중 계속 마제 맛이 없이 어디 딘데기 똑고도 파까지 아니 상로디 베타 줄지 토와 미수술에 야가지 일이잖아 빼야고 제지 이런 거 콘서 빼야고 저랑 로정하고 저랑 벤조하고 저랑 닝제고도 저랑 야고도 세고도 야고도 슬라로 딜레야 jealous 맞지 수수다 다워이나 딜 컴퓨터지 맞지 딜레 단도 인카르지 앞에 레 저랑 빼 단도 야고도 로정 야고도 벤조 서울 밀러고 채워 콜라 대표시 수수레 마와이나 아마다 나도 푸싱 로지 시야지 가르 마 튜중 시야죠라 대마제 제제 수수 야고이사 마제 마제 딜레야 단도 로봇이야 상다 저도 로봇 레시오 상다 어디 디시에고 냐는 시단 순 토라 차도 맛이 냐바도 진심 맛이 마오야 마제시요 마스터딘 바시오 면서 다들 채와다 신예되는 다시 남도 매회 시비스는 차도 된다 마제 공식과 어디 전달
So this next verse is to do with how like bodhisattvas forgo this like pride, jealousy, competitiveness, and pride for those that are higher, equal, and lower to themselves, right? So when you have somebody who might have qualities that are superior to yours, rather than feeling jealousy towards them, right, you should feel like rejoicing, feel very happy if they have things you don't have, like possessions or qualities that you don't have. You should really rejoice them. And those that are like on a similar kind of level to you, equal, then you shouldn't be trying to compete and outdo them. You should be encouraging them, right? You should sort of rejoice, feel happy, and praise them when they do something well. If they're studying well or if they're doing something well, then you should compliment them or praise them on that rather than trying to outdo them or compete with them. And then, we should never put others down if we're somehow in a position above them or something like that. We should never put others down. And we shouldn't have pride, but rather we should encourage and help them and help them to develop and do better. So it's shown in this verse, which is, the title is The Way of Following Up in Thought. The first one is indicating, and goes, considering lesser beings and so forth as myself, and considering myself as the other. In the following way, I should meditate upon envy, competitiveness, and self-importance, which, with a mind free of distorted concepts.
mala dungayin gudo ma samu understand mala digeyin gudo samudanda da dige sumdi pejen samudana dungayor no samuma geyor tola chado chero jealous cheje chado che suzule yunde yaga suzule benjo yaga 아니 수술에 남바 야가 네 이거 근데 돈이 딜 마셔야 들어 근데 상담 마지요 마지요 쉬워 다 수술 다워다워 있나요 컴퓨터진 채위나요 마지요 상 배트 마지요 차 아니 미 신다로 파 튼중 채위나 수술 파 튼중 채는 미 튼중 채로 마 튼중 저 신마레 코퍼레 냐마 라비나 미 베조데 간단이냐 치라고로 아니 디스도 거스는 마지요였다 제가 디주 말한지 니마치기나라 삼범마지요 망고지 되게 숨다 되어였다 되게 숨다 되어였다 되게 숨데 내나라 숙청보여나 아니 먼저 셈나라 시들로서 사주시라요 말 먼저 잠바나 닝제 땅 저저 말로 저거 지금에서 될 컨저 조사라고 말이야 상담료로 보다요 컨저까지 받아야 되나 차도 진심 마제 그저 셈도 요잖아 잠바나 닝제 땅 아니 저바다 나저다 내가 가고 싶으래도 하잖아
So, we need to actually analyze this, relax, and actually think about it, right? And how, look at what type of thinking brings about suffering and what type of thinking brings about happiness, right? So, if we look at minds such as jealousy, this is really disturbing. It brings us a great deal of strife and unhappiness. If we think of people like have more stuff than us, or maybe they're better looking than us, or maybe we think they're better Buddhist than us, and then we get really jealous of that. And this disturbs our mind and makes us unhappy. And also when we're competing with others, then this also disturbs our mind and makes us unhappy and creates this kind of conflict. And likewise, when we look down or put others down, then this will mean that if we're doing that to others, that means others will look down on us and put us down as well. So, these three, if these three, we have these three, or we're connected with these three, and if we have them strongly, then there's no chance for any peace or happiness or good qualities like just loving kindness or compassion, right? Also, and it creates problems, not only for our happiness, but also creates problems building friendships, because it kind of puts like a border around us, between us and others, and we can't connect with others in a positive way. And forget about developing positive qualities such as compassion, kindness, or loving kindness, or patience. This becomes impossible.
다 개워시고다. 당기도 돌대면시. 다 개워시는데 다 토하라 차도 공지디 개워시고. 토하라 차도 지기요 말레스. 차도 제위나 뉴메 카리카리요레스 다 디시고 와. 다 디시고 딘디 구제 다 미니스와 인젤야 공지다 아니 검내치다 디자인이 레고도 토하라 차도 공지들이야. 디자인이 레고도 당고데 딘디 구제 아니 이게 디신다는 말이지. 딘디 되제 달라. 니다 동네는 달래는 지금 전주선바 그래서 전주선바도 저기 같이 오래 아니 다시년지 제외 보내 아니 신라야 구디체 신라 구디체도 신 수술에 타고 유나 차도시 유파샤지 빼야고래서 구디체 빼야고래 제수유나 유 삼나고래서 뭐 진짜 삼나면이나 아니 수술유라 개월납 전부 지금 그랬어 아 대마 제외체 아니 시행기 연대하고 통하는데 차도 제비나 다 내가 될 수수 삼 맞이 버려 아니 지금 마음 봐 남이기 내 동자 이러와 차도기 넘버 맞아요 개월이 뭐 지금에 닝제 오면 개월 아니 차도기 아니 미마가오셔 지금에 미마가오셔 미던 저치 하고 차도 숙제 보잖아 어디 저 남이 동자예요 남이도 저러 상담을 이나를 인터넷에다 단단 내가 브라라 아니 수술에 토하기 밀어야 차도 제대로이나 수술 상담만 요도 알아 만나서 하고 그러다 만나서 차도 열어봐 내가 저 냠뇨 시에 말아 상으로 냠뇨도 열어봐 당은 저 시에도 가르쳐서 차도 맞아요 시에제 어디 빼하고 그래서 제비나 뒤하가 열었다 다 니니 담고 다야 돼 차도에 재는 수술 샘플 기버 연구도 신기 연대는 빼하고 그래서 제수 여러분 공 야고 그래서 라베나 수술 샘 기버 연구도 니니 다 수술이 다제시 아니 차도 검제 삼어 기본도 아니 차도 검제는 차도 상담인데
Okay, right.
어디시에 보다
Right. So that was the brief explanation. So then it goes into more detailed explanation of the various different ways of meditating. So the first one is the way of meditating on jealousy for the higher, right? And then there's the way of meditating and the way of practice after the meditation. So first, the way of meditating goes. He is honoured, but I am not. I have not found wealth such as he. He is praised, but I am despised. He is happy, but I suffer. I have to do all the work while he remains comfortable at rest. So it's verse 141 and half of 142, right? So with bodhisattvas, when they always treat others with respect and rejoice if others have qualities or positions or situations better than them, right? They always rejoice in it. So, but conversely, obviously this is a positive thing too, but conversely, if we see the qualities of others or the situations of others and arise jealousy, then not only does this disturb our mind now, this causes temporary suffering, it also causes us to create non-virtuous karma, right, which will then cause us suffering in the future. So, and then it also becomes very difficult to get on with others. We won't like others, and it's hard to make positive connections with others, and it's really hard to form positive relationships. So, temporarily it makes us unhappy, and also it makes us unhappy in the future. But this is something you need to check for yourself, right? You need to check which is better. If you rejoice in the positive situations or happiness of others, or if you get jealous, which one makes you happy, right? And if you find that being jealous of others really kind of makes you super happy, then, you might as well just go hard with the jealousy. But if you actually find it's the other way around, then you might want to think about it. Okay. So then we get on to the next part of 142 and verse 143, still under the same heading. So he is renowned as great in the world, but I as inferior, with no good qualities at all. But what do you mean I have no good qualities? I have all good qualities. Compared to many, he is inferior, but compared to many, I am high, right? So, when we see others are higher, this is more famous, or maybe they have better qualities such as morality or things like that, right? When we talk about this, 남청디 가리소?
이제 콘조 야고래 나 쪽으로 상 뒷단단한테 말했어. 콘조 딘데 야고 차야 돼. 콘조 깔래 먹고 야했어. 뒤에 고기 수수 깔래 야고 그랬어.
Okay. Right, so you shouldn't be like comparing yourselves to others in a way. So if they have positive qualities such as, good ethics or something like that, you shouldn't think, they have good qualities and I don't have them, or they can do this and I can't. Basically, you should be looking at it in the way to develop these positive qualities. They had to put in a lot of work and a lot of effort, right? And through that's how they develop these positive qualities. So then that should inspire you to actually put in the effort yourself to develop these positive qualities, rather than kind of feeling jealous towards them.
네 토어레스 봐. 네 콘조 토어레스. 나마레스 야 돼. 떠서 되죠. 네 하고서 떠서 되죠 하고서. 떠서 되죠. 떠서 되죠라나 배나 나 토딩에 상 갔다나서나 나 롭좀 망고체비 상하나 대찬에 저랑 게 마우지 양에 저랑 토디 저랑 인지선에 야고 신경이 있어 게 마우지 저랑 토지 떠서 되죠 요도고 토다 마우스에 돼
Okay.
떠서 되죠 그 요도고요 그래서 카타지데 연대데 배나 미지가 왔다는데 배나 해진을 샤도가 돼 해진이 좀 장주가 쌤 요라 장주가 쌤이 만들래 토래 옛날 해진이 좀 되될 컴퓨터 시체 딱그 에 긴두 연체에 수림 냠 따와 냠거래 냠바 인자 대장 만서 된대 매어 인자 한 해진래 말하 그래 봐 그래서 저 찡내 마 토와 차 그래 그래서 저 찡내 마 마와 차 그래 그래서 하고서
하고서 So this way of comparing oneself to others, right? So in some ways, you can compare yourself to others and you'll be higher than others, right? In other ways, you'll be comparing others, then you'll be lower than others in some way. So you kind of look at it in the same. So Geshe-la says, so if he looks at me, right, and says, well, in terms of maybe study of in study of Buddhism, then he studied more than I have. But in terms of English, I might know more than him. So it depends on which way you look at, or which way you compare to others. In some ways, you might be better at some things, and obviously worse at others. So they use the text is the example here of Devadatta, right? So if we compare ourselves to Devadatta, right, in terms of bodhicitta, then he's developed more bodhicitta than we have. But in terms of morality, because he was competing with the Buddha and did all sorts of funny nonsense, like in trying to compete with the Buddha, and therefore in terms of morality, we could say he was lower than us in terms of morality. So it depends on maybe a perspective, the way you see things. In some ways, if you look at the ways you're better than others, then this is one way of looking. But you can also look at ways that others are better than you.
다 양가시에인데요. 수리냠바당 따와냠바당 경영 차들에 여러 가시 선범마지와 여러 가시 콘도 사고 여러 근데 또 저리도서 내가 코로나게 당나게 중요 말이야. 내가 겐루로 와. 내가 겐루로 한게 아니 그 차를 이제 당분에 코로나게 여행료들이 차리 여기 말해서 어디서 수준 따와 구서지 명모도 따와면서 수준 넘어 따와년 거서 근데 저의 그것을 저의 그것은 내가 차서 내가 차라고 내가 벤조맨이 고조 차라 니네 거야 너 뒤로서 미 깔래 모잖아요 고 주고 차라
오케이
그 내가 겐 루고 한게 마우 차레스 디 네오케 말해서 거로
So this next verse, verse 144, is to do with looking at the temporary situation, or the literal translation is the immediate condition. So, the way we view things, some people might be temporarily unhappy, or they might be more angry, but this is just relating to the immediate condition. So verse 144 goes, the deteriorated state of my morals and views is due to me, but is not due to me, but due to my disturbing conceptions. In whatever way he is able, he should heal me willingly. I should accept the discomfort involved. Yeah, okay. City Loxa? The 144. Yeah, Chinu Tagni did it. Oh, sorry, okay. I thought he read it out. We haven't actually got to that yet, so forget about that. Sorry. So, but this is looking at the situation of the immediate situation. So, for example, some people now, they may not have money, right? They might be very poor, but this is just due to this temporary condition or their current situation or current conditions. So if somebody has no money at the moment, like they might be a beggar, but if they actually strive and work, then they can accumulate wealth. So we shouldn't be looking at things just upon what the immediate situation is. Right.
한 두절에 닝지 코서 교부차디 겐루 어디 삼범마 기버 차여요레 강에 요요레 로좀 마신 바요레 그 두절 상어 겐루 어디 좋은이자 아무도 두절 닝지 왕게 아니 딜래야 인카르지도 최고레스야 디야 고 교부디네야 야마야로 그 답시 체제네 다던다도도데 간다 고 연대 아니 무슨 맞게 마셔지 단도 되는 막 로봇이지 상당으로 했다 시험을 진이 다 수업을 해서 내가 다 당도 나서 제가 근데 다지 소재미 지제다가 이해하지 다라디 내지 지제는 이제 전서가 찬성하신 인재된 때문에 인하서 그래요 제가 그다음에 인재기 상도 때문에 진유에서도 수수 감정도기 아니 다음에 그거 수업을 미션라 상노다니 이축부로 와 상상은 삼들의 고다 미 이제 제 친구 축구들 대단한데 당마다 배교를 해서 봐. 아니 교래 당에 그게 지도 말해서 상담 대주요 아무래 디아 스스로게 갈래 잡지 야 공부 당지 심디야 소그레스 심디야 소고야다 아니 미신다 교신다래 양 특수 당마담시 두저야 지 연대 마신이 있는 연대시에 제 벤조민이 있는 벤조이와 답시시야 아니 어두세제 닝지 오늘 라에 맞춘겨 신에 맞춘겨 디아 소그레스다 교보드네 야고차야라 야 먼저 배전 체제 대상도 당 오래서 거다.
So when this next verses go on about not having pride in situations where we see others as having difficulties or problems or being somehow unfortunate, right? We should, rather than when we see the situation, rather than develop pride or think we're superior to them, we should develop compassion, right? And if we see others that have faults or difficulties or problems, we shouldn't. If others are unfortunate, we shouldn't let this develop pride within ourselves, but rather we should help or encourage or do what we can out of compassion to aid them, right? And then, so the verses go, it's verse 144 and 145. The deteriorated state of my morals and views is not due to me, but due to my disturbing conceptions. In whatever way he is able, he should heal me. Willingly I shall accept any discomfort involved. But I'm not being healed by him, so why does he belittle me? What you say is good qualities to me, although he has good qualities, that he does not benefit me, right? So then, this again is we shouldn't compare ourselves to others. Like sometimes we might see others who have good qualities, and we think, well, it's they might have these good qualities, but I don't have these qualities, and there's no way I can develop them. We shouldn't think like that. We should see that these bears develop these positive qualities through striving, through effort, and then we should develop a determination to develop our own positive qualities, right? And then, but conversely, we shouldn't let that generate pride in ourselves. We shouldn't look down on others, but rather we should have compassion for others and try and help them.
간데스라고 쳐보냈어. 그러더니 나는 지미 추진량된 디고 먹고 사는데 여러 먼저 내가 먼저 로고 마셔비체 60이나 아니 먼저게 때 디고디 샤고는 지금 말해 아니 샤고 마셔는 디고디 그남이 겨우치 먹는 손도 두고 왔다. 봐. 세상 진짜는 닝지가 상담이 근데 네 겨우치 먹는 손도는 뱃살에 손도는 동네 먹는 용어로 돼 이제 결과가 와서 그냥 샤고 채우래 공들이 자오래 롭전 채우래 밀펜도 채우래 이제 공작 채우래 롭전 채우래서 어떤 얘기 제기 미 마마마 돈이도 줄라 네 로고 채우었어. 다 어디 로고 채워야 아니 지 다시 얘는 두다 되라도 두다 진짜 칼스다 자발을 두만 거요. 자발을 두만 거요. 데 두게 생질 내만 붙이고 있다. 아니 두게 생질 내가 지르지거든. 데 내가 잡야 근데 상담으로 딱 먼저 도와줘 있는 아방랑서 미망고게 해 냐시우 세고라다. 그 뺀닝 것이 쇼스게면다라. 냐시우지 세고요래. 아니 마솔 쇼지 세고요래. 아니 다 내신다 바샤니 먼저 디 뉴질랜드 도고디 제기 루디 배디 군고가야 아디 동해 쇼지래도 왔다디 먼저 지금 탑시를 보시 콘도 도고드들라 닝지신 콘도 동해서 콘도 저시마 녀성은 저 이거 왔다 근데 디고 다가로 보시사 배샤 돈다 다가로 디고사 딱 먼저 콘도 로고지 간데 치도도 그러 로고지 해도 싫어 보라 아니 자바가 이기티나 가도 먼저 지가 슝라야 이기로 땅나 가도 지루도 좀 배봐야 주주대지 비워다는 쇼지 로고 그런래 핀 룩래 핀으로 근데로 먼저 최고고요 다 근데로 최고고요 다 뒤통다도 도도디 쉐고 단다 찍디 쉐고
디 슬로크 책 보래봐.
예 년도도 왜 판매해서 별로 이제 실례 연대는 거 겨우다
Okay, so this 146, this verse we're on now, with no compassion for the beings who dwell in the poisonous mouth of harmful realms. Externally, he is proud of his good qualities, but wishes to put down the wise. So there's two meanings to this. So this is first we're going to explain the first meaning, right? So though we should always think of how we can help others rather than judging others. So some people may have lower ethics or lower morality, but rather than judging them or feeling negative thoughts towards them, we should recognize that they're accumulating negativity and think of how we could help them rather than just put them aside and forget about them. So they they're in danger of rebirth in the lower realms, and of course we should have compassion for these beings because there's like an incredible amount of suffering in the lower realms, right? So we need to help them as much as we can. We need to study, we need to learn in order to do this, right? So we need to really help those lower than us. So the example here in the text, they use this example of snakes, right? Because in India there's a whole lot of snakes, right? So these people would go out that harm and they'd kill snakes because snakes are dangerous and would hurt others. New Zealand, it's more like people do a lot of fishing, right? So they obviously that kills the fish and is very harmful. But also we can see here close by the farmers who shear the sheep in winter, right? This is obviously this is a lot of suffering for the sheep because it's very cold for them without their wool, and they're just left outside, right? So obviously this is accumulating a lot of negativity for the farmers, and but they're just focused on trying to get money. But rather than judging them or looking down or feeling negative towards them, we can think about how we can help them, like the sheep, of course, but also the farmers, and we need to use wisdom in how to do this. So maybe it's potentially possible to write letters if we have time to write letters to the government to try and change the rules around this, or need to think about ways we can do this using wisdom of how we can help the sheep and the farmers out.
I do usually small business nowadays I feed birds. My motivation is I give food to birds, and birds not less kill the bugs, because they feed birds become food and not kill the bugs. And the birds less negative karma. This is my practice. Now I have 100 birds. 100 birds less negative karma, like that, just we do small things, just do it, otherwise we see those talk, and not much, just small things like that, something makes sense, 근데 이거다 더 찍을 시에고라 하고는 이제 니 연대제 롬바지 있어요. 다 연대제 밑에 나도 토하다 마사데 그래서 되죠 셰가 그래서 연대는 상당한데 나 롬바스 마제 끼고 마제데 마제 버치 마제 끼면 이나 아니 다른 거야 말 남사 상바디 도고요 이 상만하면시지 신나가 지금 가서 그래 라는 내가 싫어서 내가 제가 신기 연대 통연도 대라 롬바 마제 마체베체 가오체 제제나 수수를 마제 있는 연대하고 있는 마제 마체베체 아니 디 수수 연대의 난시 미신달에 요모쇼 수수 디기리나 미신달 대난시 요모쇼 미신달 디기리데 요모쇼 파 모와체 모와체는 아니 차도 중도야 마제 중도야 아니 개와 메시지야 편도 전부 여러 인디시고 다 토라 차도 지금 스탠다드도 디시고.
So the second meaning is that, as we talked about earlier, not comparing ourselves with others in a way that arises negative emotions, right? So if we compare ourselves with others and we see ourselves as higher than others, then we might produce pride, or we see, qualities in others, then we might produce jealousy and things like that. So we shouldn't really look at it in this way, right? Like if we see the qualities of others, we should feel happy about and positive about that. But if we have qualities ourselves, we shouldn't see it as ourselves as superior, right? So if we have happiness or something like that, we should always think about sharing it with others or giving it to others, or how we can, use this to help others, rather than thinking, oh well, we're much more awesome than everybody else. So we shouldn't compare ourselves with others in this way.
다들 니또 차도 토와라 차도시요. 그래서 대전에 개ව셔래. 아 이제 저 다들 둘라디나 대해서 삼문당 공장으로 아 수술에 윤대하고 수술에 벤절하고 수술에 가리나 미 벤절에 약을 삼다나 약을 열어. 안 될래 차도 마셔요. 다들 약을 해서 가고 공다. 에 약을 윤대 그런 게 깔려 점청을. 약을 삼다. 다 차도 쟤는 수삼 레고 야구에서 가와보면 가르도다 가와보면 스스 뺏기고 아니 미들로 단도 샘다 nhiều 수술로 타도시는 아니 미들도 샘다 삼바타 릉릉 타도세야 즉 누가 야구 영화 그거 난 무슬레나 삼바코나 마지고서 수고 그러는 수고를 내고요
Nabala. Nansa.
누구 수술로 누구로 그래서 이메일 시스템도 마스 잘 수고 누구로 간다 최대한 누구 최대한 누구 차도시는 최대한
Health, yeah.
health 누구
So we should meditate on this. We should kind of like contemplate and integrate this, because we can always see others who have more qualities than ourselves. Maybe they're smarter than us, or they have more wealth, or whatever it might be. But rather than feeling jealousy or some sort of anxiety towards them, we should feel happy about this. We should rejoice in it. We should realize if they've accumulated good qualities, it's because of the effort they've applied, the hard work they've done, and these sort of things. So we should feel happy for them, rejoice in them, and not feel jealous. Because if we have this rejoicing, this sense of happiness, that brings us closer to others, right? It brings us this sense of closeness, right? Whereas if we have jealousy, it creates this kind of division with others, and our interactions become more difficult. But also, it's harmful for our bodies, right? It's harmful for our bodies, our health. It degenerates our immune system and creates all sorts of mental and physical disturbances and problems.
Well, that today, do you have next discussion or yet? No, we have discussion
Tomorrow, or Thursday.
Alternating, remember? 1 week.
Yeah. And tomorrow is this class or
No,
No.
next week.
okay, next week. Now you have homework after testing. Yeah, this your homework. These 2 words, memorize, and then you do more contemplate this. 토할 차도시야 될 사무제에서. 공대 대해서 잡서봐. 사무제에서 당 제공.
All right.
그래서 마치도 사무당 공대 대해서 잡.
Right.
공대에 맞아나나 아니 펜도만 다시.
So you need to contemplate these verses and actually meditate, do some analytical meditation about the meaning of them, right? If you just kind of learn them but don't really think about the meaning, then there's not much benefit.
2 words in memory. Okay.
Okay, and memorize it too. Yeah, that was right. 136. Let me just confirm that before I go. Yeah, 136. Dita tagno shiwatang. Any tagni shengi wang gyoche. Yeah, 136, 137.
Memory is very good. 조란 분들 책 장을 봐. 당고 냠내 로정 만편이 시대 당고 책정 책. 아니 책이 레나 아니 된다 산다. 된다데 이제 practice 가는 다다 계속.
Right, so this is how you go about this mind training practice. First you learn the verses, then you contemplate the meaning, and then you can actually put them into practice. So this is why we need to memorize them.